All right. So, Rodrigo, if you want to,
Yes,
okay, so you're all good here. Perfect.
yes. So hold on a second. How's everybody doing? You don't have to all scream at the same time, but how's everybody doing? So let's do this.
Great.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. No, we don't want to do that. Let's see. I don't know what to do. All right. Can you see my screen? I guess we can see my screen. Let
Yes,
me
we
do
can see it.
Yes.
perfect. Okay. All right, so we have tonight a wonderful topic about chapter reports, forms, assessments, and other things that all presidents need to be doing. And um, I hope by the end of this you become very familiar and an experts on chapter reports and everything else. So, and if not, obviously there's always ways to get some questions to the chapter development, to the office, and so on. So let's get started with chapter reports. If you're new, I'm not expecting you have seen any of these. If you're repeat president, you probably already filled out some of these. And these dates named mentioned above in January, April, so technically fall, winter, spring, summer, we're asked um, to fill out forms and reports. They just technically report on things that I just highlighted here. Something, you know, to to inform the national office on the um, quarterly health of the chapters. So they go into topics like program debriefings, hosting plans, mosaic, if you have hosted some of them, or not. Hosting plans, again, they repeat sometimes, topics just to ensure that things shift, things change throughout the year. So to ensure that things are progressing in the right direction. Um, if you've never seen one of these, you would get probably a link in the weekly reports from Lauren. And why is this not scrolling? I don't know. Can you see the reports? I mean, can you see the screen, or you can just see the reports?
We we could see that newsletter.
Oh, you could see the newsletter. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to check.
Yeah, the
Okay,
bottom of
yeah,
it. So,
exactly, perfect. So in here, in the upcoming dates, typically there would be something like this, a chapter report due with probably a link, hopefully. And this was missed, but it would take you to one of these forms, for example, the assessment. And chapter president would typically either yourself or another co-president, another person on the board executive probably want to fill this out because you know the health of your chapter and you can probably want to talk to somebody in the chapter if you don't know the answer about this and really fill them out as honestly as possible. You go through the questions and ensure that you want to tell the office if you're hosting programs, how are you doing, if you're recruiting, if you have directors, if, all these things that are prompted here. Some of them are shorter than others. This only has about 10 questions or so. The others are the same length. They just, multiple choice. Some of them are just have to pick up some answers. And they're really just, again, for the office to quantify and, keep an understanding of how the health of the chapters. And additionally to this, we are asked by November that all chapters fill out one of these. And this format used to be an Excel sheet or a document that you could fill out. Um, it could turn into one of these other forms, Google form, but right now this is the previous year, and this is just an example from the near chapter. And the form used to say, it gets all the goals and indications of the chapter and how you're doing, how you're accomplishing all these items. And if you need any support and any comments. So you go through these, 4 columns, these 10 pages, and you have to fill it out. again, want to be as truthful and thorough as possible to, so when this comes back to the chapter development committee and to the national office, they can assess if, every chapter that needs some assistance, I would say not assistance, but just help in general, if they need to be, partnered with other chapters or with other people to, provide some guidance, some other, any help. So that's why we filled out these forms. Any questions regarding these particular forms? Any comments?
Oh, Rodrigo, I do have a comment on
Yep.
if you're a new president,
Mhm.
and that form or that set of information looks like really daunting to you. Ask the previous president for the one they did last year, so that, because a lot of times with a lot of this stuff, you're going to be like copying the same text and tweaking it to be more up to date. So just so you don't think you have to start from scratch every year. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's a great comment. Anybody else? All right.
I have a
Um,
comment,
yep.
actually. This is Anne. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
curious. Hey, the one with the assessment, I am familiar with. It's a Word document. The other chapter report forms, they're on like a website, a job form. Like I remember filling.
So typically, the way that you get delivered them, so you would get a link like this in the weekly updates. This
Uh-huh.
particular time, it's not linked, and
Yep.
we definitely need to tell Laura that this is missing. But
Mm.
most of them also live in the chapter development folder under chapter report forms, and this is accessible to everybody, all the chapter presidents, and you will find them here. You can just technically open them and start your review by the time that it's due. So you can technically look at them. But since we also have a lot of things to do, you're not just chasing forms by on your leisure time. You're probably just waiting for that link and that
Yeah.
weekly update that tells you, oh, upcoming dates, please, something to do. So of course, if you have leisure time and you want to do that, feel free to do so.
Okay.
But some of them are also seasonal, as you saw, and some of these
Right.
topics don't come up until that period of time. So, for example, in this, let's pick up the one in the summer. So summer just passed, but for example, you wouldn't be talking about or responding this particular item about national leadership training. And well, actually, yes, it just passed, but this probably was already filled out. But at this time in September, you probably don't remember what happened to these, leaders and everybody that gave you some feedback and so on. It happened so long ago. Anyway, you want to just fill them out kind of like in the sequence that they asked you.
Gotcha. So is this savable?
These, yes, by the end, like any other Google form, you get,
Okay, the Google.
The Google
yeah, it's a
form.
Google form. You just finish, and when you're done, you can get a copy of it. And
Okay.
yeah.
Because I remember there was one, a few of them actually, Katoya and I had filled out and they were gone. And
Oh yeah.
to Janet's point, we, every time, the new cycle comes, we wanted to be able to reference what had been filled out before, and then we didn't get one, or we ended up taking screenshots so that we
I
would
see.
remember what we put. So I'm just curious
Yeah,
why this is this way and then the other one's the Google form or the Word that we could
Oh.
more easily save.
I
Janet,
think
do you know that?
I know a bit too. The ones that we don't get a copy automatically are not the ones that are coming to CISV USA. Those are the ones that are going to international. That
Oh,
are my CISV, the portal, your thing that you're filling out. So they're going to international. Those are the ones that don't automatically send a copy to the chapter and are the ones that we typically have to save those screenshots. But the ones that are like this going to CISV USA, whenever we fill them out, a copy always comes back to our email.
okay, great. All right. Thank you. Just want to make sure
Yeah,
to remember which is what.
Can I make a comment about
Yeah.
forms in general?
Yep.
I mean, we're trying to move everything off of CISV Central because we want to decommission that system. So Taylor, the admin assistant, has basically recreated all of our forms that were in CISV Central into right now Google Forms.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And
Good to
typically, if
know.
you don't get a copy, for example, of these automatically after you finish, you can always text Taylor, in this case, at the office assistant admin, to get your report if you want to see it, once you're done. But typically, these ones you get an answer back.
Okay,
or a copy
thanks
of
for
it.
the clarification.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Any questions about these reports? I guess we just talked about it a little bit. Then it comes your charter applications, and these are filled out by chapters that are going to host in the following season, or they have obviously deadlines, but this is not for every chapter to fill out. If you're not hosting in the following year, then you're not required to look into this. It's probably good to look at them, but again, you don't have to really look at it if you don't have to. You probably want to be familiar with it, but so part one, and again, this one used to be a Word document or something like that, but as Janet said, it is just got translated into a beautiful Google form that you can just now fill out. And all the instructions are here. The part one of a charter a charter application is technically about what kind of program are you hosting, when are you hosting, proposed dates, who is going to be in charge, technically the chapter president if you have a planner, what airports, and typical information or basic information that then this information gets sent out to international office so they can put down the program that is going to be hosted in the US, and they have a record already that the intent is there. And so, and then part two just gets a little more in depth of tell us what kind of, by this time, which is due on, September 15, just passed. No, yeah, it says September, but it's actually August. Sorry, I meant to change this. April 1st and August 15 just passed. I remember just sending one. They just want to know the type of accommodations. By this time, hopefully you already have it. Sites, contracts, and other, items. Hopefully you have a camp director. They don't ask here, but they ask everything about the site, sleeping facilities, where is it, how you get there, who's going to be in charge in the site, who's the contact person, what type of safety. So monitoring, is the site going to be only for CISV, if it's going to be shared, how are you going to keep the program safe? So it just goes into all this. You do want to spend a little more, time in this particular one to describe a lot of the items if you already have them for the site. And again, by this time, hopefully, and you already have, because if not, the longer it takes, it's more difficult hosting down the road. Any questions about these two forms? Anybody that is hosting that already filled this out? And anybody has any questions, any comments? No? Okay, sounds good. And as it says here in this particular description, there's a folder in the chapter development. Well, let's back up a little bit. There's a place called the chapter development folder that every president has access to in the shared drives in their drive. So when you go into your account as a chapter president, you should be able to see this particular item that says shared drives, and then the chapter development, and then you go into these forms the folder, sorry. And then there's this new folder called Forms, where you get access to this particular folder that has many other links like this. So this is where the new forms live instead of CISB Central. Not all of them, but most of them. So we just looked at part 1 and part 2. And that's where you can get them if you don't, you don't want to come back to this presentation, let's say. Again, most of them also will come in a link like here or reported down here in the resources box. If you missed this weekly update or anything else and you know that it's going to be due, then you can refer to that in this particular folder. Any questions about that? No. All
I
right.
have a question about that.
Yep.
And I'm coming in a little bit behind the gun. So the September 15th form, when I went into it,
Mhm.
it had all the information from last year.
Oh, really?
So, and it was from when Maria was president and was last
Mhm.
year's information on this year's form. So
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't want to mess with it. I
You know
know
what?
that
Right.
I know that
Yeah.
I could have edited it, but I was afraid to mess up information. So I just stopped filling it out.
Huh.
Right. And you
So
know what? This is sort of why I didn't want to put a link in the chat. Because I think that it
it's
has to
last
be
October's information
it has to be
from our
cleared.
chapter, and I
It has
don't
to
think
be
it's been
cleared
set
from
up.
last year.
Correct. So I didn't want to
Right.
mess with it. So I just
So yeah, this is and that's good. That's a good point. Because I was afraid to point people to those chapter reports because it did look like they were from last year.
From last year. Okay. When
Yeah,
I open
so
it for
I
different
don't know what
accounts.
I don't know what the national office process is for
Hmm.
clearing the forms for the current year.
Okay.
So good point, Laurie. Thank you.
sure.
Thank you so much. That's very, very helpful. All right. Then, again, if you're hosting and you're a president, you want to get this information out to the national office, to Laura, the executive director. By February 1st, you need to give a notice of selection for all the staff members that you have. And there's some leeway to probably just, if you have 2 or 3 out of this 5 or whatever, but, by February, ideally, hopefully, you want to have most of your staff ready. So, and the form looks just like this. It's a Excel sheet that you just fill out everything that is called out here, the program ID that you will have from, applying for it, the program type, the first name and last name, roles and gender and everything else there. When you're done filling out everything that you have here for all your camp director and the rest of your staff, junior staff and everybody else, you save it, copy in your drive and send a PDF or this particular file to the national office as described here. And then they'll confirm that they got it. And if anything's missing, they'll bug you just to get something fixed. All right. Any questions? Yes. And
Does this apply to the Mosaic programs also? Or is it
no,
just
this is for the international
international? Okay.
programs. Yeah.
Thanks.
I haven't seen it for Mosaic. Well, that's a great question. Janet, do you know if it's just for Mosaic or just for international?
This is just for international programs, and it also include. I think we also include Fortnite because they treat that
Right.
as sort of a international program.
Yeah.
In my
So, yeah,
CIC.
national, but no Mosaic.
Right, no Mosaic.
Right. Great question. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. Health and legal forms. If you're a parent, if you're new to CISB, you probably haven't seen them. If you're a parent of someone that went to CSV, or you did it yourself, or you've been in chapter for many years, you don't have to be a president to probably see these particular things. But it's good to know where they live, so you can you can tell your program's chair, you can tell the parents, you can tell people how to help them if they ask you, just to be on to understand how they work and where they live. It's very helpful. There's some links to some videos in this particular presentation for how to fill these forms and what they are. And so other than that, they live, most of these you would have to get from MyCSV. And again, if you're new to CSV in general, MyCSV is it's a platform where you fill out your identity or your profile, either for you and your child, or your children if they're 16 and over, and they will just get their so it will just ask you to so we'll just have all your CSV information in here. It will tell you where, if you had any programs, if you're attending programs, and then where the forms would be. I forgot what they are here right now, but there's somewhere in here. Anyways, these only apply when you have a program. And
There they are.
they're here.
Well, I'm just looking at forms.
Yeah.
It would be, but it's only applicable for when you are in a
Yeah,
program.
when you're in a program, that's technically
Yeah.
what it is. If you're not enrolled in any programs, you won't have any access to any of them on your personal one. But again, this is just for participants and staff. Well, any volunteer that has access to this, that would get access to this through this particular website. Other than that, we used to, or we still have them in CSV Central, but they have moved, or they want to move to as a Google Drive, just to have them, store them rather. And in the chapter development, access to, not to the presidents, I noticed that, but to other users. They're here in this particular in the forms folder, but and I don't know why it's not access to others, but they live here.
Oh,
in case you need to see them.
because there isn't any intention to do these in Google.
Right.
Yeah. They're just Word documents that you can get.
Correct. And as you can see from this name, most of these that are live here in this particular folder, they're just domestic. And when they're available upon request, I guess, in that sense. And you can get them again through Central for domestic programs such as mini camps, regionals, and things like that. That you can just get access to those things. Any questions about health?
So if you do have 16-year-olds, because I just recently went through this, it is a tiny bit tricky, but Laura has really good step-by-step just email instructions in order to get them separated from yourself. There are some directions. So just so you're aware, it is easy to get to them through Laura, but it is a tiny bit tricky.
That is true. Yeah. And that's generally from the transition between 15 and 16 when they need to
Yes.
get on their own, and then they have to get their forms filled out. And they have to be signed by parents still, but then they have to fill them out, most of them by again, with a parent mostly. But it's just a matter of managing it in MyCSV, as you said. But that's for international programs. For domestic ones, again, you can download them in this folder or request them. And then again, I don't know if some chapters already keep one of these on file in their folders. I know we in New York, we still have a version of this in our Google Drive. And so anytime we have a mini camp or anything else, we just send them a copy again in just for them to fill it out. Right now, we also have a copy like this in DocuSign, so they can just fill out a couple of things or sign them once they finish and other things. There's other processes to manage this, but you want to keep the most up-to-date, version, because sometimes when we return some of these files or documents to the national office, even if you think that they are checking, and they will say, hey, this said 2023 or 2020, 2018, that was the previous version. Ask them to update them to the current version. Some of them, they have different questions. Some of them used to say different prompts. So they just keep changing. So make sure that you always have the valid version. Any questions on that? All right. Other forms that are also available for everybody, or rather, just to make you aware, these are not necessarily available to everybody. Pre-camp, these are also accessible just to people that are hosting, and most likely to your program coordinator or planner. Through MyCISV, the pre-camp 1, pre-camp 2 information, and these also apply for mini camps and other things like that. I don't know if this is necessarily have to do with these particular dates, but all right. Any questions about pre-camps or information like that is shown here? Okay, let's move on. You're an easy crowd today.
And just so you know, Rodrigo, we're coming up on 8:31, so you got like maybe a couple more minutes.
Okay, let's move on then. The scholarship application, it changed last year. They finally the national office finally got a new system. It's described briefly here, and they award, as it says here, $5,000 per application as tops. They can apply, they can award less if requested, and it has to go through this. There's a folder that it was sent in a previous update, but this is in case you need to apply for some scholarships for international programs. And I hope by now, because it was due September 1st, if anybody was nominating for awards, again, these forms also change into a Google form right now. There used to be something different that you would have to fill that out and send them to the national office. Now they just get them automatically. If you were able to nominate anybody for any of these 2 awards in your chapter, and hope you did already because the deadline passed. And we're almost done. And also, these are very important, and I want to just reiterate, if you haven't done so, and now that some new boards and the new year started, please ensure that you provide these non-disclosure agreement and the conflict of interest form to all your board members. It's very important that they fill them out. In the past, again, they used to live in CISD Central, and now it's another one of these Google forms that are very nice and easy to fill out. And just give them access to your board members. Everybody should sign this and sign that, and return them to the national office so they have a record. And that's it. Any questions for anything that we just saw?
Rodrigo,
Yes, Alessia.
sorry,
Alessia.
everyone. Quick question about the last slide that you just showed about
Yep.
yes, that one. I asked my board to complete it in CSV Central.
Yeah.
So do I need to resubmit with a
No.
new form?
No,
No.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
We're in transition, so don't worry
Gotcha.
about it. We'll figure it all out.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly.
Yeah,
If
you're good.
if you still did it through Central, that's totally fine because most of
Yep.
us were aware of that, and I would have sent the board directly to that this year. But now that this form is available, I think it's friendlier for everybody just to go in because
Oh no,
yes,
that's
We
getting
had
the Central
problems
was
with that.
difficult for some people.
Yeah,
for
we had
sure.
no
And thank
problems
you
with
for
that one.
doing it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, without anything else, we will stop recording. And thank you,
Yep.
Rodrigo, for putting this together.
No,
Appreciate it. And I'm going to stop this recording.